Welcome back to another installment of the MECCA podcast. I'm Mark Williams. I'm here in Brooklyn, New York, and we're here with, they call him the legend. We're going to call him the legend from now on, Mr. Anton. We're here with Anton. He's going to talk to you guys primarily about Rose Classic basketball, which features a lot of up-and-coming young lady basketball players, as well as this time with Comrade McRae back in the day. And currently he's working with the NBA Cavaliers as a scout to find the next great basketball player, hopefully from New York, ideally. But also he covers the world, and also as far as the scouting is concerned. Thank you, and welcome to our podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Before we even begin, what makes you a legend in New York City? Because if you go in any circles in New York City, they always want to say you have to talk to Anton. Why is that?
I first of all, I don't consider myself a legend at all. Like that's like beyond me.
Mm-hmm.
So just get that clear.
Put that out there early.
Yeah, like that's not, you know what? I think I've gained a reputation for treating people the right way and being respectful.
Mm-hmm.
Being respectful to them.
Right.
And telling the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And just being in front and being helpful too. Like, I pride myself on trying to help others.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's some young guys, coming up doing tournaments. I deal with that a lot.
Right.
People that are trying to get into the business.
Mm-hmm.
I'll always take time to sit with those kind of people. So maybe that's had to do with my name coming up in different circles.
Yeah, I think that leads to what I was going to say as far as your Rose Classic tournament you started a couple of years ago, and it's grown to like one of the premier basketball programs in New York City and also around the world for that.
14 years.
14 years, right?
15 years
Next year?
Next year, 15. Yeah.
That's a lot of players. And I know that from the training aspect, I know I mentioned it before, but when I see the players come into our gym with the Rose Classic gear on,
Yeah.
that means that they're stamped, that they're legit.
You kind of know, yeah.
They're legit.
That they've been through some wars, yeah.
They've been through some ish. What made you come up with that idea?
It wasn't me alone. It was myself, Cleon Silk High, one of my partners, and Troy Lamont.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of, it stemmed from IS8. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
going to IS8, and
Mm-hmm.
Epiphanny Prince used to go with us.
Mm-hmm.
She was from around here, so she would go out there with us because a lot of her friends, the boys, were playing in IS8.
Right.
Corey, Irv,
Mm-hmm.
Chuck, all those guys that kind of were her peers
Mm-hmm.
were playing. So we'd always go out there to watch them, and for some reason, I don't know if it was a league or a team that she wanted to play for, wouldn't let her play. So we just said, let's try something, just model it right after it,
Right.
like just model it right after ISA and do it for the girls. But my first thing is I had to get clearance from Pete.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought that was the right thing to do, talk to Pete first. Because I was basically just taking his things, something he built, and implementing it on the girls' side. So once I got his blessings and Hassan and those guys, I got their blessing, and we did it right after them, and then it just built because I didn't realize at that time that it just wasn't a lot for girls. No, it was Slam Jam,
Right.
up in Harlem. That was where everyone played.
Clyde Frazier, right?
Yeah, I think that was.
Yeah.
I don't know very well, know him very well or anything, but I knew that was the only other league.
Mm-hmm.
They had been looking for something. There have been teams that tried to start their own things, but there was nobody neutral that would just embrace every team, and
Right.
we became that.
And going into your 15th year, you've seen a lot of players come through.
Yeah.
Has the game itself changed as far as the style of play, the players themselves?
Oh yeah,
What is different?
Athleticism. They always knew how to play the game the right way, which actually I tell people all the time, like watching girls basketball helps me in my job now because it helps me stay sharp with looking for what I'm looking for in the NBA. But they've got they're matching athleticism with the skill level.
Right.
Yeah, like I think you guys, the trainers, have done a great job with the girls, an awesome job because we get a lot of really good players.
Right. I know that this past year, New York City, New York State, maybe pushed out 60 to 70 D1 players.
Yeah.
And I think I spoke to someone on your staff, and they said maybe 55 of those young ladies came through your doors.
Yeah, we get pretty much from the tri-state area.
Right.
We'll get almost all of them will come through here
Right.
at some point to play because it's a proven ground.
Right.
And we got one court. It's not a whole bunch of courts going on. Everybody plays on the same court.
Yeah.
Everybody's watching. There's music. There's somebody on the mic. So you really get a lot of attention. you get a better platform sometimes than they get in their high school games.
Oh, without a doubt.
So it's you know they've taken a liking to it, and they've taken ownership of it. Like, you know, we speak to them, to players and former players, a lot of things we need to improve on, things they want to see, and then we try to implement.
One thing I think that leads to your legendary status, quote unquote, is the fact that you have helped many of the young ladies involved in roles, whether they graduate and move on, but they come back and they still have like an ownership, like you mentioned, ownership to the program. But more importantly, you put them in a position to work.
Yeah.
And I know that one of the young ladies that we train, she's actually a DJ now. And then I look at the people that's working behind the stands, and they played. And I think that's again a tribute to you and the program that they're willing to come back. Even some of the people that are old, they come back and just hang out.
They're hanging out.
Just hang out.
And they're like, I mean, it's a social event,
right?
You know, for people. You know, if you love basketball, like that's the one thing that, you know, when I'm traveling, I miss is being like in the gym, just speaking to people, just being around the game and talking to people. You know, like. That part of it means a lot to me, you know. And then what you were saying, we really like to see them all the way through. You know, see them all the way through. Like you play with us, but then you could call us for a job,
right.
And then we'll call other people for jobs. Like we had one of our girls was the head manager of UConn. She got 4 national championships, 3 or 4 national championships. Right. That Kyle Neptune is assistant at Villanova. He was with us in Conrad. Kobe Altman is the GM of the Cavs.
Right.
He started with us in Conrad. So we got a lot of kids that are grad assistants, assistant coaches, and we pride ourselves in being able to help these people get jobs. That's important for us.
Oh, that's hell of important. That's our job as older guys to help the next generation. So moving from the roles, you also simultaneously, to a certain extent, if not before the roles, you guys had another tournament. At the point it's called Dean Street, correct?
Conor McRae,
That was
before Rose. So
right.
We started. Rose is going into his 15th year next year, so it's 14 now. Conrad's is 19 now.
Wow.
20 years.
Got you. So
that's been even a little longer.
How do you juggle all that?
Well, now in Conrad, with the NBA rules, I'm not.
Oh, that's right.
There. So we have a young kid, Jeffrey Barrett, who's taking over, kind of running it. And my partners are still involved, but we kind of all let him. Yeah, we let him because he's young and he grew up in the tournament. He's from the neighborhood and he has his stuff together and he knows what to do. So,
but that's a tribute to y'all, though.
Yeah,
that's back to the legendary status stuff. But when you did it, how were you able to challenge to do that prior to becoming an NBA?
When I did it, we just because they don't run they run consecutively, they don't run concurrently. So Conrad's in the summer, Rose is in the fall, then you got the high school season, then Rose come back in the spring. Right. So but now with Conrad's still the summer, and it's we didn't do much expansion on Conrad, but that's because that's kind of a community thing. This is his neighborhood. His mom's still out there every weekend sitting with us. So we were able to keep that and not, people ask, oh, why don't you do it in this state? That's this is his home, right? Like we can't. That's not the thing we take. But Rose Classic, we've been able to take and expand, and I give credit to Kenny Purnell, KP, who's with us, and he's been able to now take Rose and. Now we're in Atlanta, we're in Miami. He's got the Rose Maid League, Chad, all the middle school girls playing. So now we have Rose Classic going instead of just fall and spring. Now we're going fall, winter, and spring. Wow! And so we've been able to scale Rose a lot. Right. We'll be in the West Coast next year. Like Pat Alphonse will be running that. He played at grade. He was a really good player here. Grew up in Brooklyn, lives in LA, but he's been spending a lot of time with us, kind of learning how to run things, and now he's going to do it in LA. My man Al Williams is in does North Carolina and Atlanta. He grew up with us playing too. Now he's down there, so now we're just using our guys in those places.
Again, going back to that legendary word, going back there.
I don't know if I'll ever be able to accept that one.
Yeah, I know. I know. That's the humbleness in you that leads to your legendary status. So how did you transition from the youth level basketball, grassroots, to the NBA?
Well, I've always, let's go back to music. Like when I was in the music industry, it was about a talent evaluation. It was like, it was about finding a raw, piece of clay and developing it, you know, and I've always looked at basketball the same way. I'm just a basketball fanatic. I love basketball. I love it. So I could watch anybody play, kids, bad grown-ups. Like I could watch you play basketball. Yeah, I could watch you. You know, I could watch you play, and I just took what I learned in music, as far as talent evaluation and more how you treat people, and just try to transfer to basketball. And now it's enabled me to run our leagues a certain way, but now it's enabled me to take the next step up. You know, first was EYBF, and then which helped me a lot. You know, cause it gave me the opportunity to be around and be a part of that, and that helped me a lot because the level of talent was so high. You know, now I get to the league, and now it's like I'm seeing all those guys I saw in EYBL. Now they're coming into the league, and you know, so you know, we have a little bit of an advantage. I'm sure a lot of teams will start, you know, getting guys that spent some time at that level. Because you're gonna have to, with these kids being able to go in pretty soon. You're gonna have to get guys that spend time at that level and kind of have the relationships with those kids.
Now, what would you say is the toughest stumbling block as far as transition is concerned from youth to the NBA level?
Just as you know, now we have to evaluate them so young that you kind of have to project out so far. You know, if you're evaluating a college player, you know, he's only a couple years away from NBA. High school players, that many more years away. But now you almost gotta like have your hand and a pulse on the middle school kid.
That's crazy.
But they don't tell them the middle school. You know, we see the 7th and 8th grader who's really nice, but they get to high school and it flattens out. You know, so we gotta kind of determine from that area, you know, what's their trip gonna be to the league, and that's a little bit hard.
I think what would separate you from most is that you played on the collegiate level. You played at a high level program at UMass Lowell. So you know what though, that like I attribute that I've been coached. Yeah, I was gonna say I was gonna lead to those guys. Coached, I've really, you know, and I think about it sometimes. Man, what if I would have gone this place? Then I would have never been coached by. So tell the people exactly when you say you were coached by. Well,
coming out of high school, and I gotta thank Tom Kachowski because he, you know, he got me to Genesee Community College where I played for Bill Vega, who is the father of Stan and Jeff Vega. So you know, I got there and it was a shell shock. But I was being coached by somebody who was a coach, disciplinarian, old school. You know, but I had it in high school. I had it with Pat Quigley early. Then I spent a year in New Mexico, and I had it with Ron Garcia out there, and I came back to Bob Lake. So I always had, you know, some disciplinary, but Bill Van Gundy was another animal. But I learned, you know, how to play up there. Like, you know, that it was more of a you had to think, not just try to, you know, you had to think. He taught me how to play. So then, you know, I remember the story, you know, I'm at my sophomore year up there, and he was like, you know, you got this school, University of Buffalo, you know, smaller D1s, you know, not nothing crazy. But he said, you're going to go with Stan. And I'm like, all right. I didn't even, you know, like, he said, you're going to go play for Stan. I was like, all right. And, you know, that's his son. So when I got up there, I got coached hard too by Stan. So I've just been fortunate enough to get coached really well. And you maintain those relationships with the Van Gundys, so that led to you being able to know what an NBA eye is looking for. Yeah, because in the summers, like Jeff was at the Knicks at the time. So in the summers, I was going up to their practice facility working out with him. That's fine. So I was around it and kind of, you know, started to see the level that they work at. You know, like I wasn't good enough to play at that level, but he still was trying to put me through stuff. I think one day I worked out with Charlie Ward, and I saw like he goes hard. Just the difference. Like that's a different dude, and you know it was good. It was fun. So you know that was a benefit of, and I'm still, you know, I still like every Final Four I have lunch or something with Coach Van Gundy and his wife. And I see Jeff on the road. Like, when Stan was with Detroit, I got to see him a couple times. So you know, still, you know, and then they have thousands of other guys that are on their coaching tree. So now those guys, you know, I know those guys, so it's become, you know, a nice little network for them. So that led you to the NBA, or helped you overcome a lot of stumbling blocks that the normal person may have. Yeah, definitely. Having him on my resume, stuff like that helped a lot.
So the relationships. So how would a person such as, let's say, John Johnson is walking on the street here in Brooklyn, how would he get into becoming an NBA scout?
I mean, it's honestly like another thing that helped me out. I went to the NBA scout school in Vegas, and I really this was before even the job was available or even thought of. I just wanted to get that. I wasn't dealing with EYBL at the time. I just wanted to get that experience. And then I got in that room and they started asking questions about how many AAU directors how many college coaches how many agents and I realized how many of those people I had relationships with, and I was like, what, I really could do this, right? It could be something that I could do, and but there wasn't a real opportunity yet, and Kobe was just getting in at Cleveland, so I wasn't expecting him to do that, but he rose so fast because he's amazing.
Yeah, he's a savant.
He's an animal.
Right.
He rose so fast, and then the opportunity came, and he came and got it.
So I'm not as fortunate as you. I went to choose a school, Clara, Prospect Heights.
Yeah.
How do I? And I love basketball.
You gotta going back. I think I got off attention, but I think you gotta do the internship, like try to volunteer, and we got a couple kids that we're trying to get in at the Cavs because Kobe's big on that. He wants to bring some kids from here and teach them, for us to teach them how to so they can learn early. I wish I had done it earlier,
right?
But I guess it wasn't in the cards for me at that time. But now that I know, I wish I had gotten in the league earlier.
Yeah.
But I'm there now. I'm trying to make the best of it. But I think the internship route, because you're young. You don't have a family,
right.
You can still move around, how you want to. I think that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it.
We're primarily using the podcast as an opportunity, obviously, to give you light and pay homage to you as a legend, but also provide parents and people that are looking at the video as like a roadmap of how to be successful.
Yeah.
Because you're one of the few that I see on the NBA scale that came from here, and I mean here as far as New York and rolls up to the NBA status. I know it's a hard road.
It's very hard. It's a lot of work.
It's a hard
like it's basketball, but you're up 2-3 in the morning writing reports.
Right.
And, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of phone calls. It's a lot of intel.
Speak about that because I know that I watch a lot of basketball from the training perspective. I would hate to understand how many hours of basketball you look at as far as on TV, in person, on your phone, or online. How many hours do you put in on TV?
I put it this way: in a month, if it's 30 days in a month, 23, 24 of them, I'm at a game or traveling to a game.
Shit, that's a lot.
So it's a lot. It's a lot.
That's
a lot of travel. You get some good perks though. You get frequent fly miles and hotel points, but
family.
Yeah, your family, and my family, my wife and my daughter, I had to talk to them first.
Right.
Because I got a young family and I had to, once I told them, they were like, come on, we know you want to do it. We in. And they've been in. Like, I'll take them on some trips.
That's right.
And now my daughter's starting to figure out how to look at the game. So
no, I see her running around the gym.
Yeah, she always running around,
around.
So it's my family was important. It was important, and they gave me their blessing, so it's worked out.
Good.
It's worked out.
Yeah, I can imagine your cable bill must be crazy.
Oh yeah.
You gotta have every channel.
Why gotta have all these channels? I'm like, I gotta watch all these games. It's just like, we got $300 cable bill.
I can imagine that's crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's cool.
I know there's a big push in the NBA, and also it's trickling down college, high school, the analytics.
Yeah.
As an eye test guy, someone that's played the game, went through the wars, do you squabble with the analytics people sometimes? As far as, a kid hits 2 for 3 threes, and now at the end of the game, you're like, that really doesn't count. We needed at the heat of the game. You guys get like an argument.
You know what? It's funny because our first of all, we have great analytic guys. Like those guys. Hartman, we just got really good. I call them sometimes. I want to see things.
I
test. You're right. I want to see that, but I'll take that and compare it with the analytics, and I'll ask them. When we're in town for meetings, like those guys are an integral part of the meetings. Like because you want to see where your eye test and the numbers meet. Where do they meet at? And then you can judge and see what you really have.
Right.
So we don't. There's not a lot of debates with those guys because they have facts. Like
they not the facts.
They got facts. Like, so we don't spar with those guys. Those guys are very important in what we're doing.
I've heard stories where and you can't attest to it, where NBA inside the war room, quote unquote the war room, where the analytic guys are yelling and this person's yelling like he's horrible. No, but the numbers say that he can do this, he can do that.
Yeah, we haven't had that. That's not our situation.
No, that's good.
We were able to work really close with those guys. Yeah, man, because they actually, I don't know how any other team works, but those guys actually go out and watch games too.
Oh, nah. Yeah. These people that the scout and the guy that I was talking to, assistant GM, he was like, nah, they don't go nowhere. They're in the boardroom.
A little different from us. Like our guys go out and watch games with themselves.
Right.
Yeah. They're scouts also.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's very good.
They're scouts also.
So being a scout from New York, what are the 29 other teams? Not that you can speak about the other 29. Yeah. What is the narrative about New York City basketball players on the NBA level?
Overhyped, always has some kind of baggage, non-shooters, just those things like when it looks like our guys have been coddled so long, like they've been in social media, and I think that's a problem. I think that we get them so young here, and there's no development. It's when you're good, and then we crush you when you're not.
Right.
And I have a problem with that.
Right.
I almost would rather the guy who has to work their way up and kind of surprises you and takes the long route. I like those kind of guys personally. But I think the perception is are those things that our guys are so much put on a pedestal early that when they don't live up to that, then everyone has a chance to say, oh well, he's a New York guy,
yeah.
and that drives me nuts sometimes, because I know, I still think that everywhere else has good basketball. Like these places have gotten. What I'm learning now is that everyone, they're good.
Yeah.
Texas, California,
Florida,
DC area, they all have the Midwest. They all have their own, ways about things. But we play more basketball. Like we play more basketball. But I think a lot of kids play basketball because it's popular. They don't love it. Like they're not obsessed with it.
Right.
Like
it's for likes.
Yeah, it's for likes, and I don't even understand that.
It's for likes.
I don't even understand that. So you talk to a kid and or their parents, they ask questions, and I just say, what is he obsessed? Like if he's not obsessed, he or she, if they're not obsessed with it, then they're doing it for fun.
Right.
Like the education might not be what they want out of it. They just want to get popular with it.
Yeah.
And I think we've not done a good job with developing our young kids mentally to not fall victim to that. Like, to be able to stay on their path and not look for publicity. Because there's I remember a couple of years ago, the kid that was at Lockham, little guard. This was before I was at the Cavs, but they overhyped that kid so bad. The little light-skinned kid.
Oh, Marquise Noel.
Yes, that was a good player, but he was so overhyped that when recruiting time came, there was nobody really recruiting him.
Right.
And he struggled mentally. Like he struggled mentally, and there was no infrastructure in place for him to when he came down for him to land soft.
Right.
He got lucky and ended up getting Arkansas Little Rock at the end. But he's running around telling people, if you look at his Instagram, oh, he's going to Kentucky, or he's waiting on Duke, they ain't coming.
Mr. New York City or something?
Yeah, Mr. New York City they was calling. He was calling themselves. And even you look at like the Jelly Fam kids. Look at Isaiah and those kids, man. That thing got so good, but they get to college and first time you do an underhand layup with some 6'10" kid, put that shit on the backboard, and you just it's not. Those kids aren't prepared.
Right.
But they've been so everybody been using them and their popularity so much, and they get the reality is not You know, and that's only college. Imagine the next
The
level.
league, right.
Yeah, so.
I've had the good fortune of working with organizations such as yourself as far as working with the youngins.
Mhm.
I know that you run a program
Yeah,
there
yeah.
with Harris.
Yeah.
And you guys are really, it's a humbling effect on the young men.
Yeah.
Where they get checked early.
Yeah.
It's not that kind of party, and you've
Mhm.
had, and I've been fortunate to work out with some of the top players in the city
Yeah.
through the program, and you guys get at it like
Yeah.
that's not how it is. That's not how it's going to be on the next
That's
level.
that's how you know. That's what we said. Well, that's what we said when we started with Brooklyn Youth Sports Club, because they were in AAU before.
Right, I know.
They were Brooklyn Badgers.
Badgers, yeah.
And we met, and you know, it was funny at the time. They had beaten. I'm gonna say they beat Texas Titans or somebody in the tournament,
Right.
and they're coming to me as a night saying, "Well, we should have a night deal. We beat Texas Titans." And I was just like, "What?
Yeah.
Like that don't matter. Like Texas Titans got 7 pros on their team. Like, okay, I beat them, but all right, it probably wasn't the top team. Maybe if it was, nobody said they was going to go undefeated.
Right.
But down the line, they got professional athletes in their program.
Right.
So they're not, one win is not, you know, and I think once they understood that, and I said, hey, why don't we come up with a model where we don't care what team they play? Like, let's get out of y'all should get out of the AAU thing and just do developmental programs.
Right.
And then let them play with who they want to play with.
Yep.
And then they did that, and like 7 years later, you know, we still got good programming going on.
I think that's what's lacking, and I can't speak from the whole world,
Yeah.
but I can speak on New York. That's what's lacking, I think, is that somebody there to check them.
Yeah.
But they're so used to
Yeah.
getting, like you mentioned, everything given to them.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
It's very hard, and you know, we'll lose some kids.
Yeah.
We'll lose some kids because there's so many places to run now. There's so many, you know, you could just run to another program that will let you do
Whatever.
If you're here, you're gonna, and we'll take, you know, the Ian Thurlows and kids like that who taking the long route, but are super intelligent kids,
Right.
and we'll probably work in basketball longer than they play basketball.
Right.
So, you know, those kind of kids that will go to Williams and all those D3s that have great basketball, that our kids don't even know about. They go in here as D3, but they won't talk about that. League is crazy.
Like Williams, Amherst, and Connecticut College.
All them schools.
Shit is real up there.
Exactly. Duncan Robinson went to that league, transferred to Michigan, is playing for the Miami Heat.
That league is real, man.
Yeah, it's real. So, you know, just trying to educate them on that stuff has been like kind of how we've focused it. But we want to do it at an early age.
Right. So I think I work with the middle school group and some of the high school group. And I think that at that particular day, a college person came by, or a prep school.
Yeah, prep school.
And they spoke about what's expected of a prep school and how you should act accordingly and things of that nature. And I think that information is not getting out to the kid, enough of the kids. And that's a tribute to your legendary status and the fact that, you know, they need to hear the real.
Yeah, and I think we can talk to them, you know, and a lot of things too, we want to develop them as people. Like we're teaching them that, you know, because our kids will come into a room and they'll be on the phone.
Right.
Instead of coming in the room and shaking everybody's hand and introducing yourself. Like that's a whole thing that we have in our programs. Just trying to, that's simple. Right. That's a simple action could mean, you know, a job. Right. It can mean a relationship. But, you know, our kids are so programmed to just come in and be to themselves. Right. Now you go in, you speak to everybody. Yep. Say your first and last name, you look them, shake them, you look them in the eye. Yep. So that's, you know, teaching them that at 7 or 8 years old. Then now when they're 12 or 13, at least they know. Right. You know, so whether they carry it on or not, we try to keep them in the program as long as we can. We lose some, you know, but we've kept the majority.
How do we get better as a city? How do we get better as a state? How do we have more impact on the NBA? What skills do we need on the court that we need?
I think the shooting part of it is huge. If you can shoot, you can play. Yeah. Like you shoot the basketball, man, you got a chance.
You got a shot. Literally got a shot.
Yeah, you got a shot. You know, so I think that part of it, and then I think understanding how to play defensively, like this concepts. You'd be surprised at how how many kids don't even understand why they're doing all the defensive drills. Like they're doing so many defensive drills in high school AAU practices, but they don't understand why. Like how to be a good team defender, how to be a good individual defender. I think shooting that and just making the right play, basketball plays.
Right.
Like it drives me nuts when somebody takes too many dribbles. I know you as a trainer probably
lose my mind. I'm a 3
somebody just take too many dribbles. If you can be effective, that's why I smiled when Klay Thompson had all those points on like
57 on
13
dribbles, something like that.
That was incredible to me, you know, because it doesn't seem like it's possible, but it's really easy.
Right.
So you know, I think those things we have to develop shooters at an early age. And I tell these guys all the time, like when you're waiting for the trainer to get there, just form shoot. But it's repetitive, it's boring. You know, those are the things. But you know, I'm watching NBA players now, and they're doing it. Right. Kyle Korver, form shooting
all day.
Like as soon as he gets there, then he goes into his routine, the same routine every day. And you know, our kids, you know, there's a park everywhere. I don't see kids out there shooting. You know, maybe they're in the gym, but they're not like. If you can shoot outside,
especially in New York.
Yeah, if you can shoot outside,
and no net, like
all kind of different weapons. If you can shoot outside, you can shoot.
Right.
So get out there. You know, that's the one thing, the one skill that I think we lack. Like who's the best shooter that's been from New York in the last? I don't know.
Ben Gordon, but he's like 12 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, Ben Gordon. Okay.
Ben Gordon.
And you know, like you.
Ben Gordon. I guess.
But what I've seen too, like, and watching and being close to the girls' game, there's a bunch of girls that.
Oh, now they wet.
Courtney can even shoot
a little bit. She gets her feet underneath her.
Yeah, you know, I shot better than we used to have shooting competitions out, but I'm saying the girls are better shooters because they taught.
Right.
They taught how to shoot from the beginning, the correct way.
You know, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say something that may be not popular as far as New York is concerned. I think the problem, and you mentioned it, it's easier to work with the young ladies because there's less people pulling them to do X, Y, Z.
Yeah, because there ain't no money involved.
Yeah, no money involved. So if you come to our gym, we have, and not bragging, we have a lot of young ladies that come to us.
Yeah, I know a lot of them come here.
And they all, I'm not saying all can shoot, but they can shoot the basketball to a certain extent. I think that takes time, and it's boring as hell, and there's a lot of repetition needed. But everyone can shoot. Guys really in New York City, you know, the AAU guy wants to keep him in house, so they're in fear of losing him to trainer G or whatever the case may be. Like we make the decisions, but I think that's one of the things that's hurt New York City is the ownership thing, or as if we're going to make billions of dollars.
It's bad, man. It's so bad. I sit back and watch it, and I just watch these guys and like, man, you hurting these kids.
And they pulling a wool over the parents' eyes.
Yeah, because parents don't know. Most of them don't know. They think, you know, I tell parents, you know, if you want to ask me a question, I'm gonna tell you. If you choose to listen, that's on you. That's on you. Right. If you choose not to, that's on you too. Right. So, you know, I just, you know, I try to just speak to them as frankly as I can. You know, like there's certain levels that at some point you're gonna have to realize that your kid is not that good. Right. You gotta realize ain't that good.
But who wants to admit that though?
Yeah, they don't want to admit that.
Right.
And there's different levels that you can go. You know, like everybody's caught on playing Division I basketball. Like, no, play where you going. Right. Once you play where you gonna play and enjoy yourself. Right. Right. There's only 364 Division I schools, man. There's
and they all ain't giving out free scholarships.
Yeah, that's right. Half of them was walk-ons on that team. So it's, you know, I just think, you know, we're in a tough situation because there's so many teams. I think a few years ago, Carlton and I was like sitting down and we counted 96 teams. This was years ago. And it's only just boys? Just boys. Just in the tri-state area. It wasn't even tri-state, just New York. From Plattsburgh, Rochester, New York? No, from Albany down. 96 AAU teams? 96. From Albany to New York. Damn. 96 teams. So that didn't even cover the whole state. Or Jersey, or Philly. They didn't cover any of that. And they touched the state, so 96. And this was 5, 6, 7 years ago we did that. And I'm not being rude. I don't know if there are enough
players that good to satisfy 96 teams.
I think if we had, back in the days when it was Riverside Galaxy, those couple teams, the best players played on the teams and they went and the results were there.
Right.
Now you're playing against a team from Georgia or something, they got the best players on the team. They're going to win.
They're going to kick our ass.
Yeah.
How do we get, and I know I spoke to several people throughout the podcast, how do we get that where it's like a unified, I think Munch mentioned it, we get like the best team, New York team that we can put together.
I think it's going to be extremely difficult because of egos involved.
Yeah.
It's just too many.
And control.
Control, yeah. Everybody wants control. Everybody wants control of their kid. They're not going to give their kid to somebody because there's not one person. There's not one person that everybody trusts.
There is.
There's not. Who?
You.
There's not.
No, not now. Because you're with the Cavs. You don't move on to the bigger and better things.
But it's that's not even the crazy setup. But that's not even something that I even thought about.
No, I have.
But there's not you won't. I mean, these guys won't send their kids to a certain team.
They want to
send them to
work out.
Exactly. We've had that issue with it. Some AAU teams wouldn't send their kids to work out in the program. It's like, we don't care where he plays.
Right.
Nah, but so and so be around. Like, what?
That's crazy.
It's free.
That's crazy.
So whatever. But it's like I just think there's so many egos involved that even on the girls' side. That part of it is not just the boys. Even on the girls' side, no one trusts each other. I mean,
you know what I'm going through now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Trying.
I'm interested to see what happens with that because it's an attempt to do something right.
Right.
But the reality of it,
it's gonna be hard as shit.
It's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
It's gonna be tough. So I don't know. I don't know where we go with it. Honestly, I have no answers for that.
So if you go to California, there are obviously multiple teams in California, all the way from the whole state. That's a big state also, and Texas as well. How are they able to quasi-unify? Obviously, they're splinters off, and people hate one another in all different states. How are they able? Because you see the world. How are they able to come to a consensus a little bit?
They're a little better than us. They're not all the way there yet. There's a consensus that those guys want to see, those guys want to see their teams do. They want to see California represented well. You know where else is like that? DC.
Yeah, DMV's crazy.
Yeah,
they support one another all the way through.
Yeah, you see like Team Durant playing a takeover. Keith get guys from other teams. Like he does he's one of the guys that I look at sometimes. I'm like, man, how do you do it? But he knows how to deal with people.
Right.
He gonna tell you straight. How to deal with people. So, but here, it's not. Some people would rather PSA, some rather Red, some rather City Rockets. Like it's just different. I just people. But I think the California guys have realized to an extent that they want to see California do well. Like when they like I watched a few years ago the EYBL championship, PCM championship. And the Soldiers were playing. Mm-hmm. The little kid from Virginia, the little point guard from Virginia.
The one that just went to the league?
Yeah, no, the little one, the little freshman that's there now. He was on the team.
Okay, I remember that.
He was on the team, James Akinjo, that's at Georgetown. They were like the guards, and their fans, they had the gym full of people. But the other Cali teams was right there too.
Cheering them
on, right there. So I sit and you don't see that.
Right.
Like our teams, you don't see that, man.
Yeah, they make it with a golf flag.
Yeah. Oh, they're not even showing up at your games. So, I was watching that. I'm like, man, look at, the Soldiers are playing, but Cal Supreme kids are there, Seattle Rotary, all the West Coast kids are there supporting. So I think they do it a little different. There's I don't know if one person's done it, but that's just kind of how they made it. I was happy to see that.
Right.
At least it's possible.
I just don't know if, like you said, I don't know if it's possible here, but I'll tell you, and I'm like, certain people in New York, the women's side are trying.
The women's side is trying.
Hats off to them.
Yes, absolutely. I don't see nobody on the men's side trying. And I think if it works, I think if it works on the women's side, then we could say to the men's side,
it can happen.
Y'all looking crazy right now. So, I'm hoping that it does, so we can definitely do that.
So where do we go from here as far as New York City having an imprint on the NBA? Is there a way that we can get back to that level?
Well, we have a lot of players in the NBA.
Yeah.
I just think we have to develop them. Like I was saying earlier, I think we have to develop them from a young age to have. First of all, I think the shooting piece is important. But I'm saying to not want to be perceived in the same way that New York City players are perceived. Like there has to be someone different. Like you know, there's the kid at Stanford, Cormac Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's gonna get a chance, in my opinion, in the NBA. Like, but he's a new kid. He shoots that thing from Manhattan. Ty Jerome
Shoot that thing.
knows how to play basketball.
Yep.
You know, like Ty Jerome knows how to play from a young age.
Yep.
Knew how to play basketball.
Right.
Unafraid of anybody. Had the New York swag, but it wasn't over the top.
Right.
Need kids like that.
Yep.
I think kids like that is you know will change it. And I think like a guy like Ty, who you know took a team who went through what he went through last year, losing to the 16th seed.
First round, yeah.
Next year leads his team to national championship. New York City kid. I think that is an example that we need to use.
Here's a question. New York City has certain legends. You know, we have the old school. We have Kenny Anderson.
Yeah.
We have the guy that just called me Payne.
Yeah.
We have you know the three. We have Omar, Talik, and Andre. Lance.
It's funny. I was listening to something. I was listening to a podcast. The one Darius Miles and
Yep. And they paid homage. They
were talking to Dwayne Wade.
Yep. They paid homage.
They was talking about we was playing Omar Cook, Andre Barrett, Talik Brown.
Yeah. And then you know what said it too was Carlos. The light-skinned guy that used to play for the Cavs.
Boozer?
No, the other one. Drew Gooden.
Drew Gooden. I didn't get to his yet.
He said the same thing. He said that Gauchos team, that Gauchos and Riverside beef back in the days, like they compared it to the Bloods and Crips.
Yeah.
That's what they compared it to. But we have those legendary guys. Do you think that what Todd did and Jerome and the Virginia team will go down in the annals of New York City history as one of the best things that ever happened?
I don't know if it will go down as one of the best things that ever happened. It ain't the same as if one of those guys. I just think it's different now.
I agree.
I think it's different now because the whole city was behind those guys. Not saying the whole city wasn't happy for Ty, but I think you had to know Ty.
Yeah, I agree.
I think those guys, you didn't even have to. Yeah, it's just so much. It's so much out there. Like, before, if we knew those guys because they were from New York, but everybody else didn't know until they saw them at these tournaments.
Right.
Now you can kind of like, you just turn, everybody knows everybody. Like I went to the Iverson Classic a couple weeks ago, and there's every NBA team there, and these guys they were BSing, man. I'm like, man, I would be going, like they just didn't go hard. Like I see every NBA team sitting there, I'm going hard.
So that's just the bullshit that Steven Jackson was scoring on and Will Bynum was scoring on these
games? That was that.
Right, okay.
It was that. And I think it's a good thing. I think it was they mean well by doing it. Mm-hmm. I just think the kids didn't realize the position that Iverson and those guys were trying to put them in to kind of show them like, you got an opportunity. You got an opportunity to play in front of these NBA guys, and it just didn't. Maybe they were tired from all the other All-Star games. Maybe give them that, but I wanted to see them really compete.
Right.
And it wasn't. They didn't compete. They played, but they just didn't compete like I thought they would.
Is the competition, because they're so friendly with one another?
Yeah.
Is the competition aspect gone? Like I want to eat your heart.
Yeah, it's not like that anymore.
It's over.
Nah, it ain't like that anymore. These guys are friends, man.
Yeah.
They meet at the camps or whatever. They come up. They all coming up at the same time.
Right.
They're homeboys, man. You could literally see that person every day if they live in another state. Just do a FaceTime. That's fact. You look at that person every day. Before we had to wait till we get to camp.
Yeah.
And like, all right, I gotta see this dude, or whatever. I gotta see Chris Cocciani. I gotta see them at camp.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm ready for that.
Yeah, like I'm, but now it's different. They don't have that sense of competing. They don't have it. Like we had that in our neighborhood.
Oh,
Everybody had that in their
I want to get on the big ball.
Yeah,
the big court.
Yeah, man. We had that, but they don't have it no more.
Oh man. So they had NBA. So what skill in addition to shooting and competing, what else are you looking for? What draws your eye as an NBA scout? If you see somebody just dunking and talking shit or something like that?
Nah, I like, you could be a competitor and be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, some guys just have a quiet personality. I like guys that communicate defensively.
Mm-hmm.
I love those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that aren't afraid to be heard out there. Like, they're like, hey, like really communicating.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not fake. Like, we know when you're faking. Just saying, just out there talking.
Yeah.
We know, I love communicators. And that's something else our kids don't do. They don't communicate. They kind of just stay in the shell. But like I said, you can, your motor.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm into motors. When you got a motor,
Mm-hmm.
I can't keep my eyes off you.
Right.
You got a motor. You just don't
Right.
stop.
Right.
You compete. You don't stop. Even you don't have to be the best player. You got a motor. I'm gonna watch you. Then I'm gonna try to figure out a way that maybe our team could benefit from having it.
Before we leave that part, that's Conrad McRae.
That's exactly what it was. The motor guy.
Yep.
that's it. He wasn't the most skilled guy, but he had a motor and he was extremely smart.
Yep.
He one of the smartest basketball players like I've ever been around.
That's crazy.
Like he would block shots sometimes, like in West Fourth games or Pro City or whatever, and he would just like tip them, like he wouldn't block them, like the ones in Rucker where blocking them into the crowd.
Yeah, get the crowd going crazy.
He do that, but the real games, like he's just tapping them.
And we out.
Yeah, he's like, yo, keep it in place so we can win. And I'm like, this dude really, like, he really was a smart basketball player too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he kind of showed me, like, but he was intelligent. He went tech. He's intelligent anyway.
Right.
But he was really like a basketball brainiac.
Good. I like that. And that's funny that you described him, not even describing him, not even purposely describing him.
That was it.
So defensive presence, communication overall, talking.
Just making simple plays, like simple basketball plays.
The hockey assist.
Yeah, hockey assist, simple like skips.
Yeah.
Simple basketball plays, knowing where to be. Like those are things that I personally like.
From the training standpoint, I have a kid that's going to do a pre-draft workout in your facility, the Cavs, and I pull out tennis balls, tennis rackets, 2,000, 50,000 cones. What do you guys at?
Well, the first thing we can tell if you've been working out against cones. Because everything is robotic.
Yeah.
Like,
get to that
I saw something on social media the other day on the Rose Classic one that I look at that sometimes. And there was a kid, he got the ball right baseline, went baseline and did a spin move. He had
I seen that. I seen that.
He just did a spin move.
Unnecessary spin. I seen that.
And that was it.
What the hell are you doing that for?
Because he's used to doing that against a cone.
When you get to the block, spin.
So we know when you. I write in reports all the time. Works out too much because you become robotic. You take two dribbles, your body's programmed to just shoot. Instead of you taking another dribble, you're at the front of the rim.
Yeah. So you guys can see that off the rip.
Yeah, we can see that. I've learned that in the last year. This is only my second year, and I still got a lot to learn. But I've learned that, man, this dude just works out. You can see it.
That's funny.
There's no instinctual stuff.
And you look at those social media sites, and some trainers are trying to teach instinctive stuff.
Yeah.
Like there's some stuff you can't teach.
You gotta play.
You gotta play.
To get that. Yeah.
So if you're coming on, and actually you see it, and I know that in your program, there's not a lot of 5-on-5.
Nah.
But we can do 2-on-2s and 3-on-3s, right?
Yeah, not 5-on-5.
So I don't think I've put down a cone ever at any on that level. Like you gotta play. And I'm out there hooping. At that time, me and Ty was working, and you gotta play. So you can see right off the rip.
Yeah, you see it. It stands out. Like that person almost, you feel like they got a light over there. You work out.
So if he has a trainer, the trainer pulls out all that stuff, you're like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, like he's just like, here we go.
Yeah, here we go.
We'd rather see them compete against somebody, a live body, like a real live body that's going to simulate, what it's going to be in the NBA.
Right.
We'd rather see that. And you don't have to even even if you don't do well in that setting, at least we know.
Right.
At least at least we know. That's why I still, even though I can't go to EYBL, like I watch it online because I know this is going to tell me exactly what you are. That's what it is. The EYBL tells you exactly what level this person is.
Right.
It's not a game.
Right.
So that's why I like to watch.
The physicality of NBA. What must a kid get ready for? Is it a different level?
Oh, it's a whole different level. You're playing against grown men.
Right.
And these men, like someone said last year, we said, in college you got teammates, in high school, in pros you got coworkers. Dudes come and do their job.
Punch the clock and we out.
Yeah, punch the clock and go home. But that clock they're punching is 3 workouts a day, eating right, sleeping. That's a real.
That's a job.
It's a job.
Right.
Yeah, like,
a job.
So if you're not doing that, you ain't gonna lie. And the physicality of them, these dudes is lifting weights before practice, after practice.
Right.
Like they're getting their rest. They're not a joke, man.
I remember a story. Rodman would play 48 minutes and then go get on the treadmill after the game.
Yeah. Somebody said that in one of the podcasts. They say, he would just do like,
crazy.
Even the guys that don't play in the game, they working out because that's their game. They gotta be ready.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So the physicality of it, you don't realize how strong these guys are. You look at a Brad Bill, you look at these guys like they could literally move their defender where they want while they got the ball.
That's crazy.
Put you into that screen.
Walk you down there.
Yeah, and their shoulders are like, I think they NBA players play with their shoulders so much. That's what you see the bronze shoulders look like shoulder pads.
Right.
Dudes just bump you and then you off balance.
Shoulders and legs.
Legs, yeah. Like you got a good base. Like I look at, like you got skinny legs, man. You better be nice.
You better be. I said you better be quick as a blur.
Nice.
Yeah.
You got skinny legs. You don't have any base. Like you just get knocked around.
Yeah.
So those are two things, physicality wise, and shoulders. You right, legs also. Your foundation.
Yeah.
Nothing works without a foundation. Appreciate you talking about
I appreciate you, man.
My second one.
Yeah, that's the first visual though.
Yeah, the first one was Starbucks.
You had to tell people to chill
with
the box.
I had fun with that one too though.
That was good also.
Yeah, it's good.
What's next for you? GM of the new Seattle Supersonics team is coming back.
I'm gonna enjoy this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep working, working my tail off at this and try to just help my team, as best I can. Like I try to be helpful to all our guys.
Right.
And if they need me for anything, man, like I don't have an ego.
Right.
So I'm sitting in a room with David Henderson, Bernie Bickerstaff, Mike Ganzi, all these guys, Kobe. Like I'm sitting in a room. I'm looking at Bernie Bickerstaff. He's been in the league longer than I've been alive.
Yeah, he got like 50 in it.
Yeah, he's been longer than I've been alive. So you listening to this, I sit right next to him too.
That's great.
Yeah, and just to hear him say things and it makes sense. I'm writing stuff down. So I'm like a kid in school right now. So hopefully I just if I end up being a scout for a long time, I'm good with that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good job, man. So I hope that people that see this podcast and here in New York understanding what you're doing, what you like is this big, like have somebody on the NBA level is like big for New York City. And the fact that you're impacting lives on the female side as well as the male side, and on the NBA side, that's like a tribute to
and
you.
I want to bring some people with me.
Right.
That's important. I know it's important to Kobe,
and
it's important to me because me and him came up like the same way. So like it's important for us to bring some people with us. And that's big with us.
That's
so we're gonna start bringing some people through.
There's a couple of New York people that deserve it.
Yeah, there are. There's kids that are working hard, and there's some of them in some of the college guys doing well. So we're gonna do what we can.
Appreciate that.
Promise you that.
Appreciate that. We out.
All right.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. We out in MECCA. We out.